Missouri. I'm Steve McFarland with Cynthia Potter, and we're here for the Alamo World Diving Trials. It has been an exciting and surprising day for the women. We've had some interesting events happen with the women, new players on the field, and now we're with the men. And the men have undertaken the contest, and we're going to show you exactly where they stood going into session 2. We're in the midst of the second session of diving. And it's interesting to note that Mark Bradshaw had a 40-point lead going into the second session today. Places second, third, and fourth with Pinero, Jeffrey, and Ferguson. We're all within 7 points of one another. But now after 8 rounds of diving, you can see Bradshaw has really extended his lead, nearly 40 points, and Pinero has moved solidly into second. This is moments ago in round 6. Dean Pinero's forward 3 1/2 somersault pike scored the first 10 in this contest of the men's contest, and you can see he's getting pumped up. He wants more of those 10s, more of those 9 1/2s, and based on the way he's been diving, we may see some more of them. But now let's turn to the adopted son of St. Louis. This is Rob Siracusano. He trains here in St. Louis during the summer. He dives at Southern Illinois University. He's doing a back 1 1/2 somersault with 2 1/2 twists, a 2.8 degree of difficulty.
I'm really impressed with the way Rob's been handling himself. He's been in the top 5 throughout the contest, and that shows a lot of composure. His twisters are not his best dives, and that was a back 1 1/2 somersault with 2 1/2 twists. He did it very well. He's working on harder twisters, but this is a fairly easy twister, and he does it very well. There's the back 1 1/2 somersault, and he wraps up the twist, and he has a little bit of flat feet as he comes around to square going into the water, but a nice dive. Not real high scoring, but solid.
And there you see the scores for Rob Siracusano. So he gets some instruction from his coach, Dave Audrey, who coaches him here. 7s, 7 1/2s, and a wave to Mom from the diver who trains here in the summer. All right, Kent Ferguson is the next diver, and he's fallen off the mark a little bit going into this round. He's nearly 60 points out of second place.
Well, that was one of the best dives that Kent's done. He's just been inconsistent today. He hasn't really been able to get with it and do the dives that he did to win the world championship a couple of years ago. This reverse 2 1/2 somersault is very nice, and you see as he goes in the water, he doesn't lose his feet. He has trouble sometimes keeping his feet together, but he does a great job here. That's plagued him in the past, and that is exactly what happened on his back 2 1/2, but not here on his. They barely came apart. I did see a little bit, but I don't think the judges would see that from the side, because that angle was more in front.
And the scores for Kent Ferguson were 7 1/2 and 8s. He'll need higher scores than that, though, if he wants to climb back in the contest. Now Dean Pinero. This is the dive he missed in the first session, Cynthia. Reverse 2 1/2.
Well,
he missed it again.
Yes, he went short of vertical instead of making the 2 1/2 somersaults and making sure that he doesn't go short on the rotation. And if he has to, he can save it if he's going over. But he lets go too early on this dive. It's a nice takeoff, just a hair of an arch. But look at the dive. He's way up above the diving board, and he comes out at the double somersault instead of about 2 1/4 and riding it around. It's a mental error. If he's looking at the water, he should be able to tell. Don't let go until, ups, a little early there, Dean. His feet were pointing down at the water instead of more parallel with the water when he came out.
And here are the scores, and they're low, 4 1/2s and 5 1/2s, and that certainly is going to open the door. He did have a 41-point lead over Jeffrey, who was behind him, and now Patrick Jeffrey has a chance to gain some ground on a reverse 2 1/2 somersault pike, 3.0 degree of difficulty.
This is the same dive that Dean Pinero just did. Patrick doesn't make the same mistake. He makes sure that he gets to vertical. He just slides by vertical slightly, but that dive will pay off a lot more than going short of vertical. Okay, let's look at Patrick's board work. His feet right on the end of the diving board and almost over the end. He has a little knee bend, but boy, he doesn't give it away. He saves the dive wonderfully, so it's still a very good dive.
And the scores for Jeffrey, 7, 7.5, and 8, and that'll help him get a little closer to that second place position. And now we take a look at Mark Bradshaw. He had a chance to tell us earlier how he controls his emotions in competition.
Well, I've always been pretty high-strung in competitions. I have a hard time holding things in. But definitely that's one of the changes that has happened to me over the past few years is I'm more willing to accept what the outcome that has just occurred on a particular dive or what have you, and to move on to the next step. But I think that in a way that was my way of really getting back into a competition, getting mad at myself. And I think it helped me in some competitions, and it definitely probably hurt me in some others. But right now, I think that the more even keel that I've been has been to my advantage.
And here's an even keel diver doing a reverse 2 1/2 somersault pike.
Wonderful control. Mark Bradshaw has certainly worked on his ability to control his nerves in a diving meet and his emotions, and he doesn't show a lot. He does some great dives. This is one of them, a reverse 2 1/2 somersault. It's not the best one he's ever done, but he doesn't need to do a great one. He's got such a lead on the rest of the field that all he has to do is stay steady, and he will be on the World Championship team and probably win this event. There, the reverse 2 1/2 somersault. He reached a little wide coming off the diving board, but he sees the water, just has a little trouble with the entry, but it won't hurt him.
And the scores for Bradshaw's dives are 7, 7.5, and 7s. Not bad. We'll be back with more of the men's 3-meter after this. Are in the hunt for the top 2 to advance to the World Championships in Rome. Our next diver now is Rob Siracusano. He's going to be doing the reverse 2 1/2 somersault pike, Cynthia, 3.0 degree of difficulty.
Well, like I said, he's been very steady. He's been between the 7 and the 8.5 range all day long. That's really respectable. A beautiful reverse 2 1/2. I'm really impressed with his board work because that's something that he struggled with in the past. Now, when we look at Rob's feet, they're landing right on the end there of the diving board. That is so important coming off of the diving board and going in that reverse direction. Look at this entry into the water. Barely makes a splash. Now we're looking at Patrick Jeffrey on the right and Rob Siracusano on the left doing the exact same dive, reverse 2 1/2 somersault. You see Patrick's feet land on the end also, but his knees bend coming off the board just a little bit, and he goes just slightly short of vertical. Actually, he didn't go short of vertical. He went straight in, but he was sliding through the water. There, Siracusano jumps up a little bit more off the springboard and goes in a little cleaner. So he received about a 1/2 point higher score.
And the scores for Rob were 7s, basically, 62.10 total points. And now Kent Ferguson, who's been struggling, is doing the reverse 1 1/2 somersault, 2 1/2 twist.
That's a beautiful reverse 1 1/2 somersault with 2 1/2 twist. Kent really knows how to do these reverse twisters, but he has struggled with his nerves all day long, and look how relieved he looks. He finally hit a dive. The reverse twister, very nice arm swing right up over his head taking off. That's the key to doing a good takeoff to set up that vertical entry. Beautiful dive.
And the scores for Ferguson's dives are 8s and 8.5s. And as you said, he did hit his first dive and would like to have a few more just like them. And now Dean Pinero is our next diver, and we asked him, does he take a look at the scoreboard in competition?
I watch the leaderboard. I like to see where I am at all times. A lot of people won't, it's taboo, but I have no problem with it. I like to know exactly where I am and what I like to get. Maybe it doesn't help all the time. Maybe it puts a little more pressure on me, but, so be it. I like to see where I am. I like to be in first the whole time. Definitely. I like to see my name on the top.
Well, he does a great dive in the 10th round. He likes to know where he is, and he knew after the last round that he really didn't do the best dive he could have done, but he's still solidly in second, and that'll keep him there. This dive, this reverse 1.5 with 2.5 twists, it's right up over the diving board. Very nice distance. He doesn't panic when he comes around and see the diving board, and he goes right in on his head, very clean, lands a little bit in that corner of the board coming off, and that can be a little bit frightening. But like I said, Dean is a veteran. He doesn't panic. He's been diving for a long time.
To the Recplex, and we're here. It's the final round now, and here are the standings after 10 rounds. Mark Bradshaw, a very comfortable lead. He's got 74 points and change over Pinero. Pinero still solidly in second, although he's only 11 points ahead of Patrick Jeffrey. So now let's take a look at our next diver, Kent Ferguson.
Kent's dive is a reverse 1.5 somersault with 3.5 twists. This is his best dive. He saves it for last for that reason, although Kent really probably does not have a chance to make the World Championship team. That's the top 2 in this event. Great last dive. Kent Ferguson has really just been a little bit off today. A little bit off here, a little